Welcome to One Mic Media, and we are here today to discuss Disney Plus's episode 4 of Ahsoka. And I couldn't do this without my man, the creator himself, the man with all the knowledge and also lots of facts and opinions about this, Mr. Josh Warren. What's good? What's good, Josh? How you, buddy?
You have done well, my apprentice. That logo is incredible. That's what I'm talking about. Drop a like for Big Mike. One Mike Media.
Thank you, bro. I couldn't have did it without you, man. I gotta thank you. Of course, man. Couldn't have did it without you. So, happy that you loving the logo and my new intro and stuff like that. So, looking good. Let's get into this show, man. So, episode 4. So, episode 4 would have been is the midway of the series, eight episode season. So, right there, where we should be. And we start off right where we left off with Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huang the droid stuck on this planet. The ship is messed up. They're trying to fix it, Sabine and Huang. And then we see that she goes to find Ahsoka, and Ahsoka is kind of like sensing something bad might happen. But the important part of this conversation is she says, listen, if we get this map back, you know, if it comes down to it, I'd rather destroy it so we don't bring Thrawn back, even though we might not get Ezra back. Because it's more important to get rid of the greater evil than to bring our friend back. But as you can see, Sabine is kind of hesitant. So how you felt about that kind of deep conversation that they had, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, if you know Ahsoka, you know that's always going to be her goal. So it was one of those things where Sabine was eventually going to have to realize that reality, and once that was said out loud, she had to think about it. She was like, "Yeah, I mean, I understand, but it's Ezra, so I understand where she's coming from as well." So it's going to be interesting that little subplot between them two that can always cause a rift potentially.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And also, if you go back, again, I'm still getting kind of versed on Rebels myself, but Ezra made the sacrifice himself to get rid of Thrawn. So it's kind of like you're reversing Ezra's decision. Why go bring me back to bring back the guy who I got rid of? And stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, Sabine is thinking about Sabine, not necessarily Galaxy.
Right. Stuff like that. Because it's like, because if I'm Ezra, you come bring me back and we bring Thrawn back, it's like, what was the point? I might as well stay here the whole time. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird in that regard. Next up, we got the big bad Balin, his apprentice, and we got the witch as well, Morgan Ellsworth, and they're talking about they found the Jedi, the droids have, and Balin sends her and says be careful, and then Morgan says are you afraid? And he said I know fear in your voice, and he's like nah, just experience. Basically saying like I know I'm a Jedi, I've been a Jedi, I know what we can do. How you feel about that conversation, man?
Oh yeah, they have a perpetual, uh, let's say, saber measuring contest the entire time. It's just funny. It's like the witch is always trying to put him in his place, and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to accomplish a mission. I'm not into all that political ish because that's what the Empire is out about. That's what the Jedi was about. I'm here to." Get what we came to do. Like I'm not interested in all that conversation. He's like, yeah, I'm experienced. I know what's going on. I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I think it's just her trying to let. I mean, I think it's her underestimating um, Jedi, which he knows. Nah, I don't underestimate them at all. Like I've been there before. Trust me. Like what I'm saying.
Even well trained and fundamentally sound force users who have lightsabers, you should have general respect for anyone in the galaxy who has those attributes.
Right. You know what I mean? And he was initially a Padawan himself, so he's been in the temple. He knows all the stuff like that as well. But let's get to it. I mean, one thing about this episode, it was action packed, which was good. So we get to the scene where the droid is out trying to fix the ship, and you know what? The direction in this scene and the cinematography was good, and I like the fact that it kind of had like scary movie vibes at this moment because the droid turns his head and then turns back. It's another droid attacking him, and then he has to like shut the lights off and get Sabine and Ahsoka out there, and they had this action scene against the droids where we see Sabine. I'm sorry, Ahsoka using her force powers, which I like. So, what did you like about that scene? That whole action sequence there.
Absolutely, as you said in the beginning, with the droid Yang essentially getting a human scene, a startle scene, which I don't think I've ever seen that from a robot
Me either.
or
Ever.
android. So I thought that was great. Human personification in that scene. I thought that was great. And also it was cool to see Ahsoka's power because she usually likes to do that a lot. Not I mean not a lot. So the fact that she's doing it more, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and she showed how much of a force and at this point she's many years now force user, so she should be very very well versed in the force. So I'm happy they were able to like show it on screen to me. Um, the next scene we get kind of this General Syndulla, and again she was in Rebels too, so forgive me if I don't really um, have a relationship with her, but they ain't doing a great job here either because like they show her and they show her deciding to go save them, which we kind of foresaw last week. And again, I hate like dumb stuff because like if you was gonna leave anyway, why you saying leave in the first place? If you were already like disobeyed direction and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So, but then we see she does leave. She leaves with a bunch of different cavalry, let's say, and a couple of the X-wings, the nostalgia bait from the Rebel Alliance to go get Sabine and them. So, just your thoughts on Syndulla and her decision to finally go save them.
Oh yeah, I thought that was very obvious. I feel like we all knew that was coming, but at the same time, I like how using this character, the creators of the show are demonstrating the how similar the rebellion and now the new galaxy is compared to the empire. And you have to go to permission to save people who helped you win the war,
Right.
which is ridiculous in its own right. So like how do you add such bureaucratic nonsense after surviving the empire? It's
Yeah.
like you're doing so much to get back to the empire structures. Like what are y'all doing? Like
Right.
y'all should be offering to help. Send some soldiers yourself. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah, and the fact that she brought her all this to me, she brought all this evidence. We saw that they stole the witch back from the other ship. We found out they had a hyperdrive being built, and the Empire was infiltrating the rebellion and stuff like that. I'm like, what more do y'all need? You know what I mean? So it kind of like bothered me.
Did you serve, Senator?
I love that part. Remind me. Actually, you know what it remind me of? Going back, a show we reviewed as well, Secret Invasion, when Gravik was talking about how in the wars there's so many generals or people who never actually served, but they're the ones in all the pictures and get on the credit and stuff like that. For winning the war and stuff like that. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So I was like, I guess Disney doing kind of similar stuff and whatnot. But we get this next action sequence. We get Sabine, I guess a tag team match, tag team championship match. We get Sabine and Ahsoka, and they face off against Morak, who's the one with the double lifesaver, and the other force users. I can't forget her name right now, but the Balin's apprentice or whatever. So they kind of Huang told them before they left, don't separate. They separate immediately, right? At a particular time. But we do get this battle, so we get like dueling battles. Huang. I mean, sorry, the two girls, and then you get Ahsoka versus Morak. And eventually ends Morak anyway ends with her defeating him, finding out that he's not. I guess it's some sort of like incarnation built by the witch. I'm assuming. But how do you feel about all that right there?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't think it was Ezra, so that kind of proved that. I thought that was great. We saw a pretty cool duel with Ahsoka, and I thought that was cool. I like how she started out with just one saber. Like, yeah, you're not even worth two yet. So I thought that part was dope. And then, yeah, it was just very interesting.
Okay, and then the other battle we get real quick. So we get them in the forest as well, and Sabine's kind of losing, and we get her finally like mixing up her Jedi Padawan with the lightsaber as well as her Mandalorian background a little bit using the whistling version on her. How do you feel about that whole thing that battle?
Yeah, I have to agree with Hu Yang. When they separated, I was terrified for Sabine because she doesn't even identify with being a force user. She and the force that she does have is so little, right? It's
Yeah.
like fumes basically compared to other Jedi and Sith and that. So I was legitimately fearful for her, even if she's a Mandalorian. Like it doesn't matter if you a fully trained Jedi with a lightsaber at times.
I
But at the
agree.
same time, I like the mental battle these two characters had because the whoever the Baylor's apprentice is,
Yeah,
whoever that
Bailey.
is, she has a bit of a hot head.
Yeah.
So she thinks she's a little bit better than what she is, or she's kind of like hype herself up to be in the dark side. Kind of like how Kylo Ren did. She reminds me of Kylo Ren a lot. I always every time I see her, I'm like, this is the blonde Kylo Ren right now.
Yeah. So then the episode kind of heats up a bit because we get Ahsoka meeting up with Balin for the first time, and they're about to have their first battle. But before that, they get this dialogue in which he tells him, "I knew your master Anakin, and I knew what he became." And you notice how that's always a big thing going back to the original Star Wars because not many people knew that Anakin was Darth Vader, stuff like that. Exactly. So, but he also says that you know that by starting the war, like he had his own thoughts and ambitions. And for me, I'm starting to think it's even like beyond what the witch wants to do. It feels like they're just keeping like close to the vest. But either way, like he's like this has to be done. And then they have this battle. How do you feel about the scene between Balin and Ahsoka, Josh?
Yeah, I thought it was great. It's always great to see how different force users measure up,
Yeah.
both with their force capabilities, both with the lightsaber capabilities, and the combination of that in different situations. It kind of gives you a. It's kind of like the old adage when you fight somebody, you learn more about their personality based upon what they're doing. So in that terms of choreography, I love that part, that whole and the whole scene, and they're giving each other respect, but they also going for each other's neck. So they not holding anything back.
Yeah, and I like how they kind of like he's a lot bigger, right? Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. But I like how they like show her like more using like try to use more her speed and guile and cunning, and him using like more power, like his strikes and stuff like that. I like that kind of dichotomy between the two. So it wasn't like when you see like a more of a Anakin and like Obi-Wan, they pretty much have the same type of like style, right? So who's gonna get the best one? But this is kind of like a difference in style. So I kind of felt that a lot as far as the fight is concerned. But it was a a great duel. And when the girl comes back, Ahsoka assumes that she killed or stabbed Sabine again, right? Chipped her again. So she gets real angry. We see her dark side coming out. Force chokes her, throws her up against the brick. Yeah, as you said before. But that distraction also allows Balin to kind of get a jump on her. And then um, Sabine does show up when Balin's got her down. And she has the map and she says to shoot it, but she doesn't. And again, Balin kind of throws her over the the mountain there. So how you felt about that whole thing, how it played out? Bro?
Yeah, that was one of those moments where you're inside your head, you're yelling at the character, do this, and they don't do it. So it's that from that vantage point, it was disappointing to see that she didn't kill I mean she didn't destroy the map.
Yeah. How did you feel about the force choking and throwing her up against the rocks
Oh,
while
that was great. That was fantastic.
yeah. Now, to me, does that show you her dark side in there and stuff like that, or
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would say Ahsoka is a lot closer to being a gray Jedi than, actual Jedi. So that makes sense. But she's walking her own path. And you could tell that this is something I noticed a lot. The way that she's mentoring Sabine is exactly how a Sith would mentor their apprentice. So I thought that was very interesting, saying something to get an emotional reaction out of her in a very demeaning way at times, but showing who what level you're at and being very 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 condescending as well. So
yeah,
I thought it was incredible parallel imagery. The fact that she went against the Jedi and now she's training an apprentice like a Sith. I thought that was fantastic.
yeah, I agree. I agree, and I think you do just see like again, to me, you see that she has some dark side in her. Anakin was her master, so it makes sense. Like that right there, even the anger, the emotion, because of the attachment, right, to Sabine, and it allows it to come out. But you see, like guys like Obi Wan, Luke, even or Qui Gon, like they never show that much anger and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Qui Gon. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like the difference. Mace Windu might actually, but
Oh,
not.
definitely Mace Windu.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Section one second, people and stuff.
Oh, E Money in the building.
He's coming. What's it? Anyway. So yeah. So how you feel about again Ahsoka? I guess essentially losing the Balin though, get thrown over that mountain with the Sabine distraction there.
Yeah, I loved it because going into the scene, because of what has happened at Disney over the past couple years, I was like, I hope they don't waste another character and kill them too soon.
Okay.
Because this is what I love the most about Star Wars. You have such longevity with these Jedi or Force users with lightsabers because they don't you can lose a battle, like a
Yeah.
lightsaber battle, but you can still live and live the fight another day. So I like how this was like round one or essentially two, like one and a half, I guess, for those two characters. So I can't wait for the next round.
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be another round and stuff like that. I like that too because you notice a lot of times like they do have multiple battles, right? And I like that too. It's like okay, we can lose. Like you said, we can lose. Like I think Anakin and Obi Wan. I think they fought Dooku twice. You know what I'm saying and stuff like that. And essentially,
And Anakin lost a hand, like
yeah, yeah.
like
So
his
it's
son would.
like his son would to himself, stuff like that. Same thing. Luke and Vader fought. First time Vader chipped him, then Luke came back. So yeah, you can definitely come back the second time. So I feel like it's kind of and even like Obi Wan and Maul several times. Like that. So it's always like several things. But let's talk about Sabine though and that decision, like you said. So Balin, he decides instead of like trying to use the Force, which he could have, or trying to use strength and power to talk to her and say, "Look, if you destroy that, we won't find your friend. I know you want your friend back and stuff." And he's like, "Wait a
Wait,
minute."
all right, go ahead.
He's like, "I know you want your friend back." And he's like, "If you destroy this map, you will find him. Now I promise you, no harm will come to you, but you cannot destroy this map, and I know you will not be whole without that." So how you feel about his tactic there in that situation?
The Jedi mind trick, I thought it was great. I was
You
about to say
know,
you don't consider that?
no, you think it was the Jedi mind trick?
Absolutely. In terms of a force user, this would be like a tenured professor versus
Okay,
like a high schooler or
okay,
infant. You know what I mean? Like
right,
in that range in terms of force ability
right,
and just intellect. So he literally you see it in his eyes. He literally looks into her,
right,
reads her because he's going through her with the force. Like
right, right.
he's abstracting that information. Jedi and Sith do this to each other all the time. He used
Uh,
he and it's always prevalent. And I noticed this between all the screenwriting and the directors and how they demonstrate this skill in Star Wars in the galaxy. They say the person's name when they never been formally introduced.
ah, makes sense. Okay, so basically, like you said, it was like a 10-year professional versus like a elementary school kid. Basically, like Jedi mind trick because yeah, it was like he put the lightsaber away. He didn't try to use the actual, force choke or nothing like that. He just was like, all right, like, I know what you want. Basically, he was like, you're not going to do this. Like, let's be clear. You're not going to do this. So let's just get away from it.
Did you remember the prior scene when Ahsoka and Sabine are in the ship and Sabine's thinking something and Ahsoka turns around like she can hear it
Yeah.
and see what she's thinking,
Yeah.
things like that. So I think they were trying to demonstrate that and illustrate that throughout the episode.
Yeah. And then speaking of him, man, to me, this was Balin's episode to me. Right? So then after she does give him back the map, his apprentice decided to start like force choking her. I guess mad still because she got chipped by Ahsoka, whatever. But he says, I gave her my word. Like, I stand by my word, let her go. You know what I mean? And at this point, they don't need Sabine. She can still be killed, but he's standing by his word. How you felt about that whole part with him?
Yeah, I thought that was that demonstrated a lot of character for each of those characters. So I thought that was interesting, and I think the whole reason why he went about that approach is because she wasn't a threat. She didn't have any lightsaber. She has minimal force abilities.
Right.
It's what are you gonna do? Like, and of course that the blonde Kylo Ren has her own things to deal with,
Yeah.
which is why, and she's using Sabine as an emotional punching bag, basically.
Okay, that makes sense. Whatever. Um, I want to get some backstory from those two. I wish we had time, but I don't know if we got 8 episodes. But
Yo, but that's a great point. And this entire episode, I was thinking like, RIP, but like I wish we had more of this character in the future.
yeah, me too, man. Like, and I wonder how this series ends. I don't know if it, whatever. But I mean, I don't know if they're gonna do it. If he's not gonna die. How they gonna write him off, stuff like that. I guess we'll
I
see.
mean, I would say you have to give him like a glorious death if
Yeah,
that's in the plot and the
that's
script.
what I'm saying.
So
Yeah,
you're right. It'd be interesting to see what the actual decision is.
yeah, because his actual life death was like sudden. It wasn't like it was expected. So
Now, let me ask you something because I feel like Disney's looking towards the future, right?
yeah,
And there was always rumblings around this with Carrie Fisher, RIP, when she passed. But what are your thoughts about let's say actors signing their likeness in the future in case it's like posthumous, like a posthumous performance? Like the studio's allowed to take their likeness, put it in CGI
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, posthumous. Yeah, I feel like it'd be. I feel like, especially if you gave him like a lump sum to do it right now while they're alive, I think it would be dope, honestly. And I think it's something that they should like. Like, I would love to still see like Luke at this stage, like the Luke we saw training Grogu, but like more, like what else was he doing? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more of that time frame with Luke because all we got is like this, and we just got this recently. Before that, all we had was like Return of the Jedi, and then old ass Luke. So I would love to see like the in between Luke and stuff like that. Same thing with Carrie Fisher, stuff like that. Apparently, she was trained to be a Jedi a lot of the time. So maybe she has some adventures we don't know about. You know what I'm saying? Or or where she had Kylo, Ben Solo, so to speak, a lot of times. So I
Yeah,
want
I
to see.
would. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was a missed opportunity to see Han Solo's and Princess Leia's domestic relationship. Like that
Yeah,
could be
right.
that could be his own sitcom for crying out loud.
Yeah, me too, bro. I feel like that. Like I feel like there's like this missing chunk. And the thing about me, like with Star Wars, not to go far away, it's like sometimes the galaxy is like too big, right? Because it's like, okay, we got. Oh, somebody said the other day, right? This makes sense to me. So Ahsoka, first of all, this Ahsoka was like left during the whole um the battle for Endor, right? She left. She was not there for when Luke destroyed the thing, right? Blah blah blah. I wonder what else she was at. Okay, blah blah. It was the way it came out, whatever. But now she's back, right? Afterwards, and she's seeing this threat of Thrawn, heir to the Empire, as they say, who could bring back the Empire. Why not go get Luke, who you just saw training Grogu, and like, yo, I need some help. Instead, you go get fucking Sabine with no power and Syndulla. Like, that's what I don't like about Star Wars. Like, and I know it costs more money or whatever, but that'll make so much sense to me. Like, Luke, there's this threat. General Thrawn, he might come back. I need your help. Imagine watching the Ahsoka and Luke series together, bro. Like, that would be so dope.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I feel like they have something planned for that. Whether that's Sebastian Stan being young Luke, or well, essentially prime Luke, because as
Yeah,
Chris said,
Prime Luke.
as Chris always said, we never got to see that version of Luke being the best Jedi in the galaxy. So there's a whole storyline there. I'm just curious to see how they execute it. And of course, I feel like Grogu and Ahsoka have to be involved somehow.
And if they're gonna like, it's to me like if they're gonna and this would have kind of like shot themselves in the foot a little bit if they don't do it. Because if they're gonna have like another season of Ahsoka or whatever, which and a Mando, but which leads into like a movie, a big Filoni movie with like Mando, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, all the people, I guess trying to like avoid get rid of Thrawn or whatever it is. They gotta have Luke because like we done seen Luke now. You know what I mean? So without Luke, it will make no logical sense, honestly. So
By the way, how hyped would you be for that movie?
I was psyched for the movie, especially if they had Luke in it though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, if this is going to be on the film, they're definitely having Luke.
you gotta have Luke, and low key, you gotta kind of at least. I mean, I don't know if her family's cool with it, but you gotta somehow mention or something about Leia too. Leia was a whole general, you know what I mean, during the time period. So like that's what I'm saying. They kind of like, but Luke, we done seen Luke now a couple times. You gotta have Luke and Luke because like if they got Ahsoka and Mando or whoever doing it, I'm like, yo, Luke just led a rebellion, destroyed the whole fucking empire. You gonna call him? Like, yeah, we got it. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? So, they gotta have that. But, you nevertheless, we do see, after Ahsoka's been defeated, you know, so to speak, um, they got the hyperdrive, they got the map, so the witch, Morgan's ready to, go. She's ready to go get Thrawn. Use her massive, ring ship with several hyperdrives and go. And you know, as I said, and they got Sabine too, obviously on the ship. And as I said, like Syndulla and the troops are there, but sometimes it's a little too late. So you know, as they're approaching, they think they're going to stop because they're approaching. And she's like, "Nah, just push it. We don't stay here and fight them. We out." And they leave, and the hyperdrive kind of destroys a couple ships, and takes them out. How you feel about that whole scene?
Yeah, usually when this happens in, let's say, space genre films,
Yeah,
typically the ships are ripped open because you know
yeah,
you're separating or you're separating space and time. So usually they're split open. So of course they got to do the Disney version, right? The
yeah,
Star Wars version, they're discombobulated, which leads to them crashing and all that. But I thought that, to me, it was a plot device for me because in terms of the science, that's not supposed to happen. They supposed to be decimated.
yeah. How you feel about her decision though? Just to just go instead of fighting them. Stuff like
Oh yeah, that makes sense because I'm sure there has to be some timing involved because there's so much undertones of things like cosmic timing and like astrology we see in the not the intro but the end credits
that.
when you have all everything like developing and even the map. So there has to be like a cosmic timing of how things happen, and I don't think that she could have waited.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then we get this kind of like scene with Syndulla's son, where like I don't, you know, something don't feel right. Obviously, giving him traces of being a Force user, which is Kanan's son from Rebels, obviously. So trying to like go with that, and then we go back to Huang, who's kind of like stuck, but there's no Sabine. Ahsoka's gone and stuff like that. And then we'll go ahead and get to the end. What's the biggest end of the show? Um, Ahsoka winds up on what's called the World Between Worlds from Rebels, from what I've been watching, and she hears somebody call out. She's Master, and it's Anakin. So how you felt about that big reveal, big drop into the show, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful cliffhanger. That was
Yeah,
fantastic, and I'm curious to see, what I guess what version of Anakin that is. Like, is he allowed to come back into that, back into the real world from that vantage point? Are they gonna? Because I keep hearing rumors about how Disney wanted to introduce time travel to Star Wars. So if you're able to, like, like cherry pick people from different dimensions and different timelines and bring them into yours, it'll be interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think they would undercut the all of Star Wars having Anakin come back. But I don't know what he's gonna be like, just like some sort of a mentor. Now they might show flashbacks. I think maybe I don't know. But they pay Hayden Christian for something, so I'm happy to see him still getting work too from Star Wars. Back to back. So I like that. But I don't know. I guess we'll see about how the whole thing works. Moving forward. But I did like the cliffhanger, like you said. I think it was big. I think the show needed it, like a little joke to it, right? The mid part of the season. We got 4 episodes left, and I'm kind of happy that they already did this hyperspace jump because that means we're going to get like probably Thrawn and Ezra, sooner rather than like wait till like the end of the season. It's pretty much faster, whatever like that too. So it's a lot happening right now. Sabine's separated from her. It's a lot, you know what I mean? So what I don't want to see though is Sabine without Ahsoka all of a sudden become this like good Force user, like while she's kidnapped or whatever like that. Like I'll be mad, like bro, you ain't even you suck. How you get? I don't want to see her as a Mary Sue or whatever like that. Like you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I think the thing that she'll do, she'll like put the, let's say, like the minimal force abilities all together and be able to like, you know, pull the lightsaber like that one time. You know what I mean? Or like, knock something over. Not nothing like major, but I think she'll be able to do it for in that dire
okay, I
need,
got you.
kind of like that.
Now introducing this Kanan and Jarrah's son, who likely has force abilities, and being so young, I think that's pretty cool because with him, you can when you have this new movie with Ray, you know, post First Order, he could be like an older person right now. You know, like 20 something years later, and he could be like another Force user that she could find. So I kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like he won't play a major part now because he's a little kid, but he can play a part in another movie. I feel like so.
Yo, I think you're spot on, Big Mike, because honestly, this is the strategy I see Star Wars trying to implement, and I think it's a great solution because if you bring all those lovable characters like Mando and Ray and Grogu, like imagine the scenes of Ray and Grogu in the same scene, like
That
that.
too.
That's gonna be crazy. So if
Yeah.
Dave Filoni, I think he can hit a grand slam here and combine all those storylines in such a digestible way. Because I got to think about it from a person who isn't that entrenched in Disney Plus episodes, who does love Star Wars, but once they see the film, they'll be inspired to watch the shows, and they'll get let's say indoctrinated into Disney Plus Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm inspired to watch Rebels just by watching this right now. So I agree with that. And also, like like it gives that because when we end um, the Rise of Skywalker, Rey's kind of like the only Jedi, right? She goes back to the Skywalker Ranch, and she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker with the only Jedi." So it'd be nice if like she found Syndulla's son, you know what I mean, or something like that. I think it'd be
Or
dope.
Ahsoka, like that would be a great mentor for Ray.
Or Ahsoka, or also Grogu, like you said, and whatnot. Because Grogu only 50 years old. He'll live for another 900 years, like Yoda did, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I think that'll be, that'll be pretty cool. But anyway, how would you rate this episode, bro?
For me, I had to give it a 9.5.
Okay, for me, and I'm not even like the member berries don't hit me as much because I'm not a rebel person, but I will still give it a 9. It was just it was a good Star Wars episode. So, it was solid.
Absolutely. And I was legitimately, concerned about certain characters. I was like, oh, I don't think plot armor might save you in this situation. So it was like, to me, it was like genuine threats. So I wasn't like, oh, you're gonna survive because of plot armor. Like for me, the story arcs as of right now for fantastic and believable.
I agree 100%, man. Well, listen, Josh, man, thank you once again for coming on here, man. Thank you again for actually helping spruce up the One Mic Media channel. Josh is the person who gave me helped me with the intro, guys. If you guys didn't know, so it gives me lots of advice. So always gotta thank Josh for whatever you guys see, man, and who inspired me from the beginning, man. But we'll be back next week with more Ahsoka, and as I want to say earlier, we also got, as far as Josh and I are concerned, more Star Wars, more Marvel. We got Loki coming next month. The Marvels movie come out like a few weeks after that. So more and more and more. So I'll be on tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with E and Michelle. Talk about Power Book 4. And then, of course, back on Tuesday for Beyond the Trenches with my football crew. So once again, like, comment, and subscribe. And for that, we out.